Hey, good morning, guys. Happy Friday. I hope everyone's doing well. If you're wondering why my face looks so good and full coverage, it's because your girl goofed. I thought I was filming the whole time, and it turns out my camera wasn't even recording. So we're gonna start this over. So today is actually a very special day for MAC. Today is their first ever day of giving, which means today, for the next 24 hours, you are able to shop from 200 MAC lipstick shades, and 100% of the proceeds are going to be donated to the MAC HIV and AIDS Charity Fund, which, if you guys don't know, is a charity that MAC has in honor of their Viva Glam. So anytime they do a Viva Glam launch, when you buy a lipstick, and still with their Viva Glam lipsticks 1, 2, and 3, anytime you make a purchase, 100% of the proceeds gets donated to the MAC HIV and AIDS Fund. And so I thought that was really, really cool, and I wanted to film a video using MAC products, doing a full face of MAC, and kind of talking to you guys a little bit about the brand and their history, because I feel like not everyone is educated on how MAC came to be and kind of where they got their start. I already have my foundation and brows on. Skin is already primed, so we're gonna jump in starting with concealer. And for the base, I primed my face with the MAC Mineralized Time Check Lotion, which is a really good hydrating moisturizer plus primer, and it's also anti-aging. I really, really like this. And then I'm also using the MAC Pore Refine Stick, which I feel like is kind of a hidden gem. I don't hear too many people talking about this guy, but it's really nice. I get super oily in my forehead and T-zone, so I like to take this guy, just slap it on, and it keeps my oil in check all day long. And then for brows, I have on the MAC Clear Brow Gel. Mine looks a little gross because I do use it. And then I have on a little bit of Brun Shadow. I really like a powder in my brows. I don't know, I feel like it just makes my brows look more natural. And so when I'm not using my Dior Brow Gel, I will use this combo. And then for foundation, I'm actually using my favorite from MAC. This is the Studio Tech foundation, this is the Studio Tech foundation, which is a full coverage hydrating foundation. And this guy packs a punch. When I tell you a little bit goes a long way, a little bit goes a long way. This baby has enough coverage to completely hide a tattoo. And you guys, I've already hit pan on this. I know it looks gross, but that's how much I love it. And I already have a brand new one waiting in my kit once this guy is completely finished. So yeah. All right. Like I said, we're gonna jump into concealer. For the concealer, I am using the Studio Fix 24 Hour Smoothing Concealer. And we're gonna talk a little bit about MAC. Okay, so the history of MAC, how did it come to be? What's the good stuff? Originally, MAC was first introduced back in 1985 by two gay men, Frank and Frank. I know, funny, right? The one, Frank, was a successful unisex salon owner, opening a few different salons that were accepting of anyone. It didn't matter, really what you looked like, what your age was, race, gender. That's kind of where the slogan to all ages, all races, all genders comes from. And the second Frank was a successful photographer and makeup artist, and he actually would work out of the salons that were open. And kind of how the story goes is one day, Frank, our makeup artist and photographer, he really just wasn't happy with the tools and the quality of makeup at the time. He didn't like how it would photograph. He just hated the way the brushes would apply the product. So what he would do is he would actually mix up his own custom formulas to use on clients, as well as he would cut his brushes to apply the products better. And really what happened and how MAC was born was due to this kind of discomfort in the quality that was given and how things would film and photograph. Sorry. There's going to be a lot of ums and uhs because your girl needs to think. But so due to this, the two Franks teamed up and came together in the kitchen of their salon and created their own custom formulas, which would be known as MAC Cosmetics. And this actually happened back in 1975. So MAC actually was created in the late 70s and wasn't first launched until the 80s. And so what happened was after Frank and Frank created these products, they would use them exclusively in their salons on their clients. And word kind of caught wind in the community of artists. And so other makeup artists would come in requesting these products from Frank and Frank. And they would take those products and they would use them on their clients. Okay, now that my concealer is all blended out, I'm just gonna go ahead and set the face using the new MAC Studio Fix Pro Set Plus Blur. And I just have the box over here, so I'm just reading it. This is actually a really good powder. I love how they've like done the packaging. It has this little closure so that way the product doesn't spill out, and then it has a little mesh so you can dunk right in. But yeah, so as I was saying, so MAC would have all of these different artists coming in requesting their products to use on their clients, and eventually word got out and kind of spread amongst the clients that they were working on, a lot of them being high-end celebrities such as Madonna. And eventually everybody just wanted to get their hands on MAC. That MAC was the new hot thing. They had all of the coolest, fun colors, which their first products that they officially launched were inspired by Crayola crayons. Their first lipstick was actually a bright pink lipstick that was inspired by the pink Crayola shade called Flamingo. And MAC went on the record saying that this was the first time there's ever been a lipstick that actually looks the same as, the crayon that it was inspired by. And they went on to create a few different shades inspired by Crayola crayons. And so due to, like I said, the popular demand, they went on to open their first official MAC store in New York off of Gay Street. And unfortunately at the time, this area was really heavily affected by the HIV and AIDS epidemic, which is really what kind of inspired MAC to give back to the community and start the Viva Glam HIV and AIDS Fund. And really what kind of made MAC popular and set them apart from all of the other brands at the time was MAC's main focus was creating a safe space that was all-inclusive for anyone, and created the slogan, all races, all ages, all genders. And at the time too, MAC was the only cosmetics brand to hire, anybody. Women, men, trans women, non-binary people, and MAC had a very specific look, and the look that they were going for was unconventional beauty. They wanted people who had bright colored hair and tattoos and really weren't afraid to just be themselves and express themselves, sending that message that we are inclusive. We don't care who you are, where you come from, we want you and we want you here. And so in doing that, they kind of, set the tone moving forward for all of the other brands. And two, at the time, MAC was the only brand in history to actually properly educate their artists on how to apply cosmetics, how to work with different formulas. And MAC was the only cosmetics brand at the time too to really focus on creating an experience for their customers. They weren't like the other brands at the time that just wanted to get a sale and push you out the door. They actually wanted to invite you in and have you sit down and understand what you were using, why the products are formulated this way, and the best way to use them. Just dusting off any loose powder from my face. And two, MAC also would go on to be one of the first cosmetics brands to not only have their products featured on the runway, but actually have their makeup artists walking the runway alongside their celebrity clients and models. Okay, now I'm just going in and bronzing my face using the MAC Mineralized Skin Finish in Dark Deepest. This is a really beautiful, radiant setting powder, but I like to use it as bronzer. The most popular shade is probably like Give Me Sun, but I really like Darkest Deepest on my skin tone. adds the right amount of bronze without looking too orange or too dark or anything like that. And I really, really love this powder. It has an all-natural mineral in it called mica, which gives that slight radiant finish that you see. And it's not glittery, it's not shimmery. It just gives that radiance to the skin and makes the skin look like skin. And I love this. You guys, if you've seen my makeup, you know I am the queen of bronzer. I don't really like to use contour. I like to kind of take my bronzer and just go in the same areas that you would use as contour, just to really shape my face. But yeah, so that is really cool that, you know, MAC really started out as just a small independent little shop creating products out of their kitchen to blowing up and being this, you know, huge giant that they are today. Okay, now that we are all bronzed and sculpted, I am going to be going in with blush. And for that, we're going to be using an oldie but a goodie from MAC, and that is their matte blush in Mocha. You guys, this is just the prettiest rosy pinky blush. It gives the most natural flush of color on the skin, and I'm gonna be applying that with an angled MAC brush, which all of the brushes, by the way, have been MAC. This is their Black Panther edition, the one. Sorry, I don't know if you can see the packaging too well on camera. Sometimes I hate the way things are filming, but so goes it. So I'm just gonna tap in, and then I'm gonna apply this kind of to the apples in center of my cheek, right in this area, and I'm gonna use a pressing motion. One thing about the MAC formula is it loves to be pressed into the skin. Like any of their powder formulas, especially with the blushes, if you want the most intensity, the most color payoff, really press and tap into the skin. Look at that. It's just so pretty. It just gives like the cutest natural flush. I am obsessed. Okay, next we're gonna go in with highlighter, and for that I'm going in with the Extra Dimension Skin Finish in Whisper of Guilt, which is MAC's top selling highlight shade. And mine just looks all fancy because I actually have an old limited edition one from holiday, I want to say this was like holiday 2016, 2017. I've had this for a little while. And she's still holding strong. And the one thing that I love about the MAC formula is I have been using this since I've got it all the way back in 2016, 2017. And I barely even hit pan on this. Like, hello, a little bit goes a long way. And for the brush, sadly, I won't be using a MAC brush. I'm very particular about the type of highlight brush that I use. And so for that, I'm going to be using a Laura Mercier fan brush. And we're just going to go and we're just going to load up the cheeks. And my secret to highlight, if you guys are wondering the best spot for highlight and kind of where to put it, look in the mirror, tilt your head, and see where the light naturally reflects off of your cheek, and wherever you see that natural reflection is where that highlight is going to go. So like, for example, when I'm looking, I can see that the light is kind of reflecting right here. So I'm going to take my highlighter and I am just going to pop it right where I see that light reflecting, because really that's what we're mimicking with the highlighter, is you're just going on the highest points of the face and amplifying that. And then of course, we're gonna do some on the nose, the very bridge of my nose, on the Cupid's bow. And another thing too, when you're doing highlighter on your Cupid's bow, a lot of people wanna like flatten their lip, like for some reason like this. Don't do that. When you're doing your highlighter, rest your face just naturally and dust it, because what's gonna happen is the brush is actually gonna mesh with the natural shape of your lips, and it's gonna allow the powder to land exactly where it needs to land. When you're kind of flattening your lip like that and then doing it, it's all flat, it's all smooth, and it's gonna look funky because the brush isn't able to kind of mold and bend and place the product exactly where it needs to go. In other words, work smarter, not harder. If you just let the brush do its thing, you'll have a much better time. And then, of course, finishing with a little bit on my chin. I'm definitely going to add more off camera, you already know. But yeah, obsessed with this highlighter. And two, for the history of MAC, that was really everything. You know, MAC started off very small. Frank and Frank, they didn't love the way the products were working, so they took matters into their own hands. And I really love the story of that because I feel like it goes to show, you know, if you really put your mind to something and you're really dedicated and strong-willed, you can do it. Like, don't let anyone put you down. Don't let anyone tell you you're crazy. If you're passionate and you want to do something, do it. Like, even myself, like, back in high school, I was obsessed with makeup. I always said that I was going to be a makeup artist. I had, you know, people telling me that my blending skills weren't there and that, you know, I had no business doing makeup, especially, you know, if you don't know, I'm transgender. Back in high school, I was pre-transition, and the biggest thing people would tell me is, well, you're a boy. Boys don't, you know, belong in makeup. Makeup is a girl thing. And you know what? At the end of the day, baby, it's all pigment. It's all pressed, creamed, whatever pigments. Makeup does not have a gender. Makeup is for everybody. And cut to today, I'm out of high school and your girl's a professional makeup artist. I've worked with so many different brands, so many different companies, from Morphe to now MAC, and I feel very blessed to be where I am today. So, yeah. Long story short, do what you want to do, be who you want to be. If you're genuinely happy and not hurting anyone else, who cares? Do you. All right, rant aside, next we're gonna move on to the eyes, and for that, I'm just going in with one of the MAC Dazzle shadows. This is one of my favorites in Beaming Blush. This just gives a really nice natural bronze finish to the eye, and there's glitter. Your girl loves glitter. And so I just really just kind of slap this on to my lid and blend it out. And I like to use my fingers. I don't like to use a brush with this. I mean, you obviously can use a brush, but I don't know. I just feel like it goes a lot quicker. It applies a lot better with my fingers because I feel like, too, you're able to really press that glitter and get it to pop. Ooh. See? Okay, now that we have that all on and blended out, I'm just gonna finish off the eyes off camera. And for that, I'm gonna go in with the MAC 55 Supermodel Lashes, the MAC Stack Waterproof, which is my favorite mascara, and the Brush Strokes eyeliner. So give me a few minutes and we'll be right back. All right, we are back. Eyes are on. Outfit is changed, looking so cute. And then I just went ahead and set and rehydrated my base using the MAC Fix Plus in Coconut. You guys, this is my absolute favorite Fix Plus. Pro tip, keep this in your fridge. It's gonna cool it down, and then when you use it, it's just gonna take you away on a nice island vacation. It's so good. I'm obsessed with this stuff. And then for lips, because today is all about lips, remember, next 24 hours, 100% of the proceeds are going to the MAC Viva Glam HIV and AIDS Fund. I'm gonna go in with one of my favorite lip combos, and that is Plum Liner, which I'm down to the nub, you guys. I need to get another one of these. This is so good. And then the fabulous Chili, which is MAC's top selling lipstick to date. So I'm gonna go ahead and slap this on and you guys will see the finished look. Oh, and another trick, you guys, if you don't want your lipstick super intense, when you apply it, just pat it on, which is what I'm doing right here. All right, and we have the finished look, you guys. I'm in love with how this final look turned out. And let me know down in the comments, you guys, did you already know the history of MAC? Did you learn something new? And what lipstick are you getting today? Also, what is your favorite lipstick that you already own? It can be MAC, it cannot be MAC. But yeah, just sound off in the comments and let me know. As always, I appreciate you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Mwah. Bye.